Felicia, thank you so much for joining me today. Just wanted to kind of talk to you about your experience and the things that you. First of all, tell us who you are.
Okay, my name is Falecia Stuckey. I've been in CIS cycling in the coaching program now for 3 years. We kind of lost last year for outside, but we still trained very hard indoors as if we were still racing. So this is my third year. I live in Maryland. Here in Maryland, I'm part owner of a cycling club, Velo City Riders, where we're a touring club in and outside of Baltimore, Maryland. And I also race with Getting It In Cyclists, which is based in Waldorf. So I stay pretty busy on my bike.
So let me ask you. So what got you into cycling? Why? What? Why the transition to cycling? What happened?
Well, I've always been active. I've always loved being outdoors. When I was in high school, I ran track. So outside of high school, I didn't want to run in college. So I started doing more endurance running. I've trained for marathons. I've ran a marathon in France. I've ran a marathon in Spain. I've ran marathons and lots of half marathons in the States. So injury is what changes the game and causes you to change what you do. So once I, kind of blew out my knee running and my ankle, I got tendonitis. That was the most painful thing in the world. I started looking at something that was less impactful on the joints. So I learned how to swim. I bought a bike. When I first started biking, I had no idea what road biking was or what it looked like. I think I'd watched the Tour de France once and, still didn't really know what I was looking at. So I bought a mountain bike and I went out to ride with a group of guys. Someone mentioned, oh, there's some guys that ride out near the airport. So I went to meet them one day and they're all geared up with these bikes with these little skinny tires. And I'm like, okay, I don't think I have the right gear today, but I still rode with them. And one took me to a store to buy a bike. And when I saw the price, I got sticker shock. So what we did, we put road bike tires on my mountain bike. And I rode with them all season with these heavy, this big 50, 60 pound bike. And they're all geared up on their road bikes. So they used to always tell me, Felicia, you'd be really strong if you had a road bike. And, someone was always having to wait for me because I'm dying as I'm trying to keep up. So near the end of that season, I found a road bike. It was an entry level Trek. And when you go to buy a bike, they always have you to ride the Cadillac version. So they also let me ride the Madone. So I bought what I could afford. And 2 weeks later, the Madone went on sale. So I went from 0 road bikes to 2 road bikes immediately. And I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy being left, and no one wants to be that person that everyone's waiting for. So I started riding on my own near my home, which was very, very hilly. And all of a sudden, I could keep up with the guys. And then I met some of the ladies and the folks on the race team with Getting It In, and they're like, "Hey, what do you think about racing?" I'm like, well, I never thought about that at all, but I do like to go fast. And that's when we started racing. The rest is history.
Oh, that's awesome. It's kind of the unique story and background of where you work, where you are. And I think the unique part of your story is how did you go from where you work to the bicycles to what do you have now?
Oh, I have an arsenal of bikes hung up in the garage. I have the same mountain bike that I started with. I have a newer model mountain bike that's a Trek. I have a giant TT bike, and I have 2 road bikes. And I ended up selling that first road bike that I bought a few months ago to someone who was just getting started riding and wasn't able to find one in the stores. So I hear that he's having a good time on my Trek that I started with.
We always say keep it in the family.
That's what I did. Yes.
That's it. So let's talk training. Let's talk from the time that you said, okay, I'm getting pretty good at this cycling thing. Okay. So what made the transition from just riding to becoming a cyclist and a person who loves to race her bicycle? What was the change? What happened?
Well, I figured out that there was something that was missing. So I was riding as hard as I could to try to keep up with the rest of the folks that I rode with here in Baltimore, but I just didn't feel like I was getting any stronger. So I went out, I did my first race, my first criterium. I got lapped 4 times. It was a humbling experience. So I came back and I just started riding harder and trying to ride with folks even faster than the initial group. But I still felt like I wasn't really learning what to do. I was just trying to keep up. So my transition from being someone who rode a bike to a cyclist to a racer was one that required a little bit more. So I started searching online. I was using Zwift, didn't really know how to use Zwift except to, get on and put the bike on there. And there's a video game now where it, kind of distracts me from the time that I'm on the bike. And I saw that people had these little tags behind their names. And myself and another member of my race team, we had been looking for a coach. So we looked around here, we talked to a few people. They didn't really seem to, communicate with us in a way that made sense. Because that's another thing. I need to understand what I'm doing. So when we were talking to some of the local folks, the conversation was over our head. They told us to get a book. I got a book. I read the book. And that's how that went. But that really didn't tell Falecia what she needed to do when she got on her bike and how to train to be stronger and faster and have the endurance necessary so that after a bike ride, I'm not ready to fall out on the floor. So I saw one day that I saw CIS cycling behind someone's name online, and I didn't know what it meant. So I went and I Googled and I saw that it was a coaching program online. And I got halfway through the application and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this or not. And, I kind of pushed it to the side. I think, was it a year? I might have pushed it to the side for a year. And in that year, I was still, doing the same thing with my team. We were, doing some hill climbing. We were just doing things to see what would stick. And one day, and this is a funny story, I saw one of my competitors all of a sudden have CIS cycling behind her name. And I remembered that application that I started the year before. And I'm like, oh, no, you won't. Oh, no, you won't. So I went back in and I finished the application. And that's when I got a message from someone named David Lipscomb that told me to give him a call. And, that's when I learned about CIS and I mentioned it to the rest of my teammates because we were all in the same boat. Like, we want to do this, but we really don't know what we're doing. And we can't seem to find anyone who can give us the same messaging. So we get this line of messaging from this person because that's what they were told. We get this line of messaging from this person, but that's what they were told. And nothing really was concrete for us. So then I started cycling and I was able to understand, now I understand why I shouldn't be grinding in the big ring trying to keep up. It doesn't get you any faster. I'm not used to riding in the small ring, but I feel pretty good when I ride in the small ring and I can get up hills even faster than when I was trying to grind before. So it's been an awesome experience. I've learned a lot. I'm still learning. I haven't mastered anything, but I think I'm at least in a position where not only do I know what I'm doing, but I can communicate to others what they should be doing.
Right. No, that's so spot on, Falecia. And I think what's unique about your story is the time that you started the program, February 2018, I believe, 2018, till now, I think it's really unique and a story you should share with people where you went from year 1, year 2, and now you're in year 3. What happened? What was the transition of those ideas and thought processes around that?
It was huge. So from thinking the only way to go fast and to get stronger was to ride in the big ring, to not do interval training, to know and have heard of this FTP, but not really know what the benefit was of knowing what your FTP was and training to those numbers. That's where I started in 2018. Probably 2019, it was, okay, I feel good riding in the small ring, but I don't feel like I'm being challenged. So we were doing endurance rides and kind of staying in zone two. I had never ridden my bike in zone two before. So it was, if you're trying to keep up, your numbers are off the chart. So now it's, heart rate? Heart rate shouldn't be that high. Oh, wow. I've never ridden my bike in a comfortable zone where I can keep up and ride all day at a much faster pace than when I was, grinding along. So that was the epiphany in 2019. 2020, of course, we were all in the house, but that was, let's look at these power numbers. Let's see how hard I can push. And I felt like I wasn't really growing with the power numbers, but then I realized it was a trainer. But it was, it was, let's push a little harder. Let's see how long we can hold these higher, watts per kilogram. Let's see what we can do on hills, on the virtual hills, and how long can we sustain this feeling without blowing up. And we did a lot of that on the trainer. So that was pretty much most of 2020. And when I felt comfortable enough in 2020 to go outside and ride with the folks that had been out there all along, it was like, wait a minute, I'm breezing along, but I'm killing them out here. So that was an awesome feeling. So 2021, we're still kind of dealing with the pandemic. So races are a little sketchy and the season is starting a lot later. In the beginning, it was, getting used to the wind and the elements and trying to really make that transition from indoors to back outdoors. And I think now I'm kind of over the hump of that. But what I do find when I ride outside with the club rides, when we go up hills, I have a different technique than they do. So a lot of times it's just me and a bunch of guys, and I'm in the process of getting dropped, but I can catch them on the hills. And that's like remarkable to me because normally, when the hills come, you're out. And I noticed that even Wednesday night, I wasn't trying to push hard, but our fast group, they were going up a hill and I was right there. And I said to someone, I don't feel like it tonight. I don't feel like chasing them up this hill, but I could have caught up with them on the hill. I know now how to shift gears to recover over the hill so that I don't get dropped as soon as they pick up the pace again. So that was something I definitely did not have in 2018 or 19.
You know what, Falecia, your rider IQ has gotten so much better. And a lot of that comes with your level of confidence that you've created over the years, and I want to share, or no, I would like for you to share with the folks, what were some of the struggles you went through going through this process? Because it was not easy,
And
and
it
it is
still
not easy.
isn't. And I still struggle with some other things. So I will say for one, and I'm always saying I need to lose weight. I'm not one of the smaller cyclists. So my struggle with the race that I did a couple of weeks ago, it was a hill race. It was a hill criterium and it was a hill road race. So I did not do well in either one because, when you compare someone, and I will not give my weight, but someone that's a healthier size person compared to around that 100-pound mark, you will not win. And I'm a more densely muscular person than someone who's very lean and fit. So I was with them as long as it was a flat or slightly rolling incline. But as soon as we started climbing, Falecia was shot out the back. And that's still my struggle. So I know all of 2020, I did not focus on my nutrition as well as I should have. So now I'm feeling like I'm in a deficit. And I can tell that it's making me a little bit slower outside, not tremendously slower, but for where I could be if I would have mirrored or matched the nutrition with the training over 2020, I would be much further along. So, that's there's always something to work on. And for me, that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out. Also being older, I'm 49. So for women, we've got the intermittent hot flashes, the intermittent night sweats that keep you from getting any kind of decent night's sleep. And I never knew what the impact of waking up all night because you're sweating, or, when you wake up, now you got to go to the bathroom, how the breaks in sleep make you really, really tired when you're trying to perform. So I'm, normally fine during the day, but I can tell the difference when I have had the episodes at night versus being able to sleep straight through. So that's a challenge. That's something that, I can't do a whole lot about, and it comes and goes. So I get excited when it's gone. Like right now, it's gone. So I can actually get rest. But when it comes, it's like, well, here we go. And there are a lot of other people in the same boat as me, and it's intermittent. It's, everyone's dealing with it at different times. The COVID vaccine caused it to happen again, so there's always something. And I feel like I need to spend more time doing stretching and strength training and conditioning than I used to. I need to spend far more time on core work than I used to. So as you get older, you can't slow down. You have to sort of pick certain things up, especially for women. I think I am an all-around cyclist. So I know we had this conversation 3 years ago. It made no sense to me. Um, but now that my training has been a little of everything, with the intervals, with the speed work, with the hill repeats, I can climb hills. I may not climb them fast, but I can climb hills. I know how to sprint now. I can be a strong contender in a race. So I think I have the IQ to be competitive. So I guess I would say an all-around cyclist. Um, I guess the only thing I can think of that I feel that works for me is a good balance. So the balance of indoor riding and outdoor riding. If you spend all your time indoors, you don't really get a chance to see the fruits of your labor. So now it's like I try to get outside as much as I can. I still ride the trainer. I actually have some smart rollers now, so I need to get started. But yeah, they've been down there for a while. I haven't gotten on them yet, but I'm gonna really start doing more of that so that when we go back into the fall and winter training, hopefully I can use those instead of the standard direct drive trainers. So I would say balance. I would say, try to do a little of everything because it only makes you stronger.
Totally agree. And spot on. And congratulations on your brown belt promotion.
So much. I appreciate it. I really do.
Well done. Nice work.
Thanks, Coach.